Exactly what happens when divers go underwater? What can go wrong in an undersea rescue mission? Let's find out. Human beings were not meant to live underwater, otherwise we would have gills and fins like fish. But the sport of scuba diving allows us to breathe underwater with scuba gear and to literally adapt to an alien environment called the underwater world. It's a completely different environment from the world we inhabit. SCUBA stands for Self-Contained Underwater Breathing Apparatus. A scuba diver course manual of the National Association of Underwater Instructors, or NAUI, gives us a very clear idea of diving, its risks, and its benefits. Scuba divers, after all, have been known to come to the aid of victims in water disasters or accidents. On a diver's back is a tank of compressed air. That air is supplied to the diver's mouth through a regulator that reduces the high pressure inside the tank to the same pressure as the water surrounding the diver. The air in the tank is air, not oxygen. The air is exactly what we breathe above water: 78% nitrogen, 20.9% oxygen, and 1.1% mixed gases, except that it is compressed so that it can fit into a tank. A tank contains 3,000 psi, or pounds per square inch, of air. Good enough for a leisurely, recreational dive of about 45 minutes to an hour or more, but only for a maximum depth of 130 feet. Anything below 130 feet, a diver needs additional training, a special set of skills, different equipment, and a different gas mixture, a trimix composed of helium, nitrogen, and oxygen. That is what the technical divers who retrieved Interior Secretary Jesse Robredo's body were using since Monday. What they were doing was not recreational diving, not deep-sea diving, but technical diving. Divers have to fight off three things: nitrogen narcosis, decompression sickness, and oxygen toxicity. By changing the mixture of the air, nitrogen narcosis is eliminated and chances of decompression sickness reduced. Limiting a diver's time underwater at 180 feet will also reduce the chances of oxygen toxicity. Divers have submersible pressure gauges that tell them how much air is left in their tanks, a dive computer to tell them depth and bottom time, and a compass to tell them direction. Without these, divers could get lost or die. The underwater world is beautiful, full of marine life. Objects appear 25% larger underwater. Colors disappear the deeper you go because the sun's rays can only penetrate to a certain level. Divers use masks to see better underwater and fins to propel them through the water. Then again, because water is not our environment, it can be treacherous. So divers work with and not against these forces of nature. Waves, tides, and currents set water into motion, and divers are trained to deal with them. Waves are formed when the wind pushes the water into peaks and valleys. The bigger the waves, the harder it is for divers to enter and exit the water. Tides are changes in the water level. A dive plan is affected by a change in tides because this means even depth targets will change. Current is the movement of the water in a particular direction. Currents are like rivers and streams within an ocean and carry anything in its path. The waves, tides, and currents of Masbate Bay were sure to have also determined where the wreckage of the plane finally rested, and also had an impact on how the dive retrieval operations were and are being carried out. Dive operations in Masbate were aborted early this afternoon because the current was too strong. Divers also take extra precautions to prevent decompression illness, which has three factors: going deep, staying too long at depth, and ascending too fast. Since nitrogen makes up a big part of the air divers breathe, care is taken when ascending so that bubbles do not form in the diver's body. Yesterday's diving accident was a reminder for rescue workers to not take risks. Diving safety, after all, is paramount. There is no rescue more important than a rescuer's life.